Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, The Survivor. I'm excited about this. Never heard of it. It's on HBO Max. 2 hours and 8 minutes, so it's a Friday night movie or Saturday night movie. It happens to be Friday night for me. So we're in. It's on HBO Max, so it's free as long as you subscribe to HBO Max. And it also has Ben Foster in it. So right now it's rated 6.8. With 1,145 people only rating it so far. I don't understand that. So a movie like this, it's based on a true story. It's about a World War II boxer, and they keep saying Harry Half, so it's very important. But he was a boxer in concentration camps, and now IMDb says he's haunted by memories, and he tries to use fighting to rekindle some love or to find his way to love. I don't know. I think it's like he was in concentration camps, he fought, and now he's probably released. It's after the war, and he's using his skills, something to do with love. I don't know. 2 hours and 8 minutes, so pretty 6.8, good score so far. So let's get into it. Let's find out what it's about. I can't believe not a lot of people have watched it so far, so maybe we'll get it on the ground floor in our review. So we'll see. Let me get into it here. I'll check in from time to time, let you know what I think, and give you my final thoughts and see if it's worth watching. How can it not be? I'll be back. Hey everybody. Excuse me. Hey everybody. I'm going to do a quick check-in here. We're watching Survivor, The Survivor. We're at the 1 hour, 4 minute, and 2 second marks. Just about halfway. 2 hours and 8 minutes. So far, so good. The survivor, obviously, he's a survivor of the Jewish concentration camps, and basically the story is, in camp, he had to fight other prisoners. So he was discovered as having a good right hand. One of the, leaders of the Nazi camp there discovered him and takes him under his wing, in a sense, and has him start fighting. And he's really good at it. But the thing is as he beats these people, they end up, no more. So he's really fighting for his life the whole time. And it's a flashback to him in these concentration camps. Ultimately, what he is doing, this is Ben Foster playing Harry Haft. And, he is a boxer now in real life, in present day for the movie. Not our present day for the movie here. And he is a boxer, but ultimately his goal is to find his lost love that he lost way back in the day. Not exactly sure when, how, but around the same times that he went to the concentration camp, he had a girl, and he's trying to reconnect with her. And the best way he can think is becoming famous. So he's trying to, win boxing matches in hopes that she'll recognize his name in the paper. He tells a story to a reporter. That's how we go back in time a little bit. And then he's trying to get a big fight with a big boxer. So again, his name is out there. He's also working with an agency that's trying to find her as well. But that's ultimately the whole fight for love, is to find this girl. Danny DeVito's in it. John Leguizamo is his coach. So there's other people in it that I thought were pretty good. Peter Sarsgaard is it. He's the reporter. None of this I mentioned before. But really, really interesting. I almost stopped it right in the beginning because you think about these kinds of things like we've done in history to our own human race. You know what I mean? Like you think about slavery. And I'm not political, and I don't think it's a political thing, but I don't really get on the soapbox too much. But you think about, what the Nazi did to, the Jewish population and stuff like that, and those types of things. Like I was thinking to myself, like, is there anything that we do right now that we don't recognize, that is similar? I think when people had slavery, they didn't think they were really doing anything wrong. We all know it was wrong, but did they think that? Or these Nazis, did they really think, like this is wrong? And this is a terrible, terrible example, but it's one that I came up with. Like this, think about like people who use drugs, and we put them in prison. I don't know. Like, is that wrong? Are we going to look years back and say, wow, we really came down on the drug users? I know that's way off. I was just trying to think of different things, where we persecute other humans for maybe a reason we shouldn't be. Okay, enough of that. back to the movie. I apologize. But that had me thinking. I almost stopped it early to talk about that. But we won't say anymore. That was my brief little soapbox moment. But Ben Foster. So I mentioned previously in some other reviews, which you probably haven't seen. Maybe you have. Fantastic if you have. But I like Ben Foster. I've always liked him. From Alpha Dog, you know what I mean? I think that was the first time I was like, whoa, who is this guy? And I'll watch any Ben Foster movie because I just like him. And I think about actors sometimes, and sometimes you see him in real life, and at least in interviews. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything about Ben Foster in real life. It's all about his characters, which are all different, I think. And I think sometimes I think to myself, like, oh, could I hang out with them? Could I be friends with them? Like Mark Wahlberg. I think maybe, I'd like to hang out with him, see what it's like, but, whereas there's other maybe actors that it's like, hey, I don't know if me and Benedict Cumberbatch would really hit it off. I don't know. Just like thinking like that. I know, crazy, right? Like, who's going to hang out with me? But Ben Foster, I think to myself, like, I think I'd want him as a friend, but I'd be deathly scared of him. I want him on my side. I want to be friends with him. I want to hang out with him. But I'd be fearful that at some point he would turn and just end me, or he would, secretly conspire against me, even though he would treat me like a really good friend. Like, just from the characters that this guy plays, So I thought that was funny and interesting. I thought I'd share that. Last thing before we get back to the movie here was, and I've seen this a lot of time in a lot of different actors and how they change their body to take on different roles, and you've seen it many, many times. Well, seeing Ben Foster in his first fight when he takes off his shirt, it's like, wow, like he had to lose like a terrible amount of weight to put, to look like he did for that fight. In fact, and not a spoiler, but the guy I told you about, the guy who's kind of taking him under his wing, says, protect your bones. You know what I mean? It's not like, wow, because that's all you see. I mean, that's the other fighters too, but I don't know who those guys were, but Ben Foster was just like, whew, you know what I mean? So, amazing what they go through in order to make it look as realistic as possible. There you go, a long check-in. Probably won't come back until the end. I guess I really have my chatterbox going, but stick around. There'll be more insights. And ultimately, I'll really let you know what I think about this movie. But I will be back. Hey everybody, read the credits as a survivor, and I'd say it really was good. Now, for me, it comes to a point where I'm watching this movie, and I like the boxing, but other than that, there's not like an action. It's really a drama, right? And a 2-hour and 8-minute drama at that, where it can, when you're interested and you like some more things to I don't know, spike your interest a little bit here and there, it can kind of weigh on you. Although it was going places, there was times where it felt like, what are we doing here, kind of thing. I want to move forward. I want to get something going here. I don't know how better to explain it, but Vicky Krieps plays the girl who is helping him. The credits are going right now. So, but anyway, it gets to that point, like after boxing, and that action is gone. There's more of the family drama stuff, if you will. That's like, okay, but again, I wanted a little bit more, but it doesn't. I don't know. I'm just saying. I know I'm a little bit critical about that part of it, but it's worth it, I guess, is what I'm gonna say. So once you get through it, like, it's not. It's like, what's gonna go on now? Really, you think you have it all done, and it's like, there's a lot of movie left here, and it plays out. And again, you got to make it all the way through, which I don't think anybody who made it as far as the part not the part, but like after the boxing, nobody's going to turn this off, right? Nobody's going to stop it. But I don't know. It's hard to say without spoiling it, but that was one piece. I felt there was a lull that was happening, and I was like, oh man, it's like, But after seeing that through the lull, it's worth it. It comes together, and everything is pretty awesome. The other thing is Ben Foster and the way he looks, right? So we all know what Ben Foster looks like. They did a phenomenal job of, you know, turning him into another character. Now he does a great job himself, of course, of acting it, but you know, the makeup side of things was pretty cool. And essentially there's 3 versions of him, which is another little piece of, it starts off with him as the older Harry, and then we get him to current or present day, and they do flashbacks to when he was in the concentration camp. When he's in the concentration camp, it looks a lot more like Ben Foster actually does. But as we move forward into his post-concentration camp boxing career, you can see he looks completely different. And then jump forward to years later, post-boxing. Again, he looks like the boxing guy, but just older. So, you know, I like that. So I know it's like, duh, but you know, sometimes they don't do a great job with that. Kudos to the makeup people who did that, because you know, he looked completely different and completely believable, and they aged him. They changed him and then aged him, you know, and I thought that worked out. There were times that I felt a little, there's a lot of jumping. You know, most of it was jumping from what I'll say is present day in the movie back to the concentration camp. But there's a little bit forward, and it's like, where are we here? You know, I was a little confused on that. There was some things there. So, and then they even give like you know, they give a date. It's like, okay, that's where we are. Then it comes up and says like 4 days before the date. And I'm like, is it before the date? We just were in present day. We've jumped forward to this new date. Now it says 4 days prior. It's 4 days prior to where we were. That confused me a little bit. And that could just be me. But pay attention during that piece when they do that. And it all works out. I wish I was clearer at the time. I know. Sorry. Not a really big knock. But definitely a 7 for me. If not close to an 8. You know, I really enjoyed it that much, besides some of the things that I had mentioned. I'm not going to repeat myself, but, you know, the lull and the time jump thing. But the acting was great from all of the actors, I think. I mean, especially Ben Foster. The makeup stuff, everything that I've talked about, and the story is great. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but it is going to be a spoiler. So check this out. If you know, you don't even have to be a fan of boxing, because it's not that vital. It's really the story around it. I mean, that's just a small piece of really what happens in all of this when you watch it. I mean, critical, but you know. So if you've liked what I said, you know, survivors and things like that, and you can stomach some of the things. I mean, it's not like you know, gross or anything like that, but it is, you know, it's not great. So if you can stomach that kind of stuff, check this out. Definitely worth a watch. If you have HBO Max in 2 hours and 8 minutes, go do it. You don't even need, I think the 8 minutes are credit, so 2 hours, just do it. Alright, that's it. I want to get into some spoilers here. I want to talk a little bit more about the film. And I'll probably spoil it. So if you haven't seen it, you don't want to see this, turn it off now. Subscribe, like, comment, tell your friends, all that stuff. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Okay. So I gave you the chance. If you're stuck around, you've probably seen it, or you just don't care, and you want to hear more about it. But I mean, the whole movie is about him finding the girl, right? And it gets to that point, and honestly, when it was at this dramatic climax point, and they're going through the conversation, I'm like, why isn't he telling her, I've loved you my entire life. Everything I've done is to try and find you. That never happens. Those things never happen. And then you come to learn that they only knew each other for a couple of months. And he pined after her for year and year, did everything in this story for her. And it's like, really? But I get it, because she helped save his life and vice versa, and that's great. And then when she pulls out the article and says, I saw this when you were right before the fight. And you could see, I mean, they do a great job of looking at Harry's face, and it's like, are you serious? Like, you saw this. Why didn't you come looking for me? Like, I was doing this so you'd come look for me. And then she drops the bomb on him, you know, and it's like, oh, wow, you know. And that bomb, if you didn't realize it, I did. I'm sure a lot of people did, so I'm not saying this. But the bomb that she dropped, saying it was right after she got married, he went into the fight. He felt that emptiness. He felt she was dead. Well, her single life was, and she was now married, and that's what had happened. You think about that. Now, that could have all been done for dramatics, and that might not have been a really part of the story, you know, and the true story, but it made it, you know, it circles all back and made that whole lull and everything else that I talked about that I didn't like so much better when I was like, okay, all right, they didn't just drop the ball here at the end. They did a fantastic job of, you know, closing it up and you know, seeing it from that point. So there you go. Thank you for sticking around that much. I wanted to share that moment with you as though we were sitting next to each other, because nobody sits next to me. Sometimes people do, but you do. So I appreciate it. And thanks for tuning in. You know, obviously you subscribed if you stuck with me this long. And continue to tune in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.